Welcome to the Ladies Cave. I'm your girl, Chi Collins, and today is Thursday, May 5th, 2016. Happy Cinco de Mayo. I can't wait for this day to be over so that I can, even overindulge in some margaritas in celebration of today. But I wanted to take this time today to once again, and hopefully for the last time, discuss Johnny Manziel. Johnny Manziel, as you know, was officially indicted by a Dallas grand jury almost 2 weeks ago on the charge of domestic violence, which is a misdemeanor. Johnny Manziel turned himself in to authorities yesterday and was subsequently pled not guilty, paid his $1,500 bond, and then proceeded to take mugshot photos. Johnny then took the mugshot photos and tweeted, and I quote on Twitter, "Just thankful I had a shirt this time." Wow, Johnny. That's all we can say about this, if anything at all, because I don't even think that was warranted. That, for me, just showed that you were making a mockery of the situation and that you were making a mockery of your bad behavior, justifying that everything that you've done has been okay. I'm going to get back to the everything you've done has been okay in a moment. But let's go back to the history of Johnny Manziel and his behavior. 2012, Johnny Manziel was arrested for disorderly conduct, failure to identify, and possession of a fictitious driver's license while he was a student at Texas A&M. This was even before he was chosen as the starting quarterback. Those charges were, he pled guilty to failure to identify, which is basically a slap on the wrist, and the other two charges were dismissed. The actions continued on in 2013 when it was noted that he had an early departure from the Manning Passing Academy, allegedly due to oversleeping. He then tweeted, "I can't wait to leave College Station," after receiving a parking ticket, and subsequent incidences that led to him being kicked out of a university frat party. So I'm going to stop right there for a moment, because when we look at those few incidences that I just mentioned, we think it's harmless. No one got hurt, didn't affect anyone but himself. He's doing it to himself. Why should we care? I'm not sure that care is the right word. The word that I think is probably more appropriate is who's caring. Who's actually caring for Johnny Manziel? 2015, which led to these charges of misdemeanor, domestic violence, which is a misdemeanor, stemmed from an altercation with his girlfriend, or former girlfriend, I guess now, Colleen Crawley, here in the DFW Metroplex. We once again attempted to sweep this incident under the rug. I think the Dallas Police Department did a horrible job in not charging him immediately, but they then asked the grand jury to review the evidence to see if an indictment or a charge was necessary. Once again, I personally feel as though this could have been handled differently. I think because Johnny Manziel is a celebrity, I think because Johnny Manziel is a quote-unquote hometown boy, that he has been given a lot of leeway to be able to do the things that he does. So, unfortunately, the grand jury was summoned and, of course, as we know, indicted Johnny Manziel on these charges. One of the challenges that I have with this entire situation not only just the mockery of it all, but the challenge that who is by Johnny's side? Who is there for him? You know, I'm not going to put the style of parenting up for public scrutiny because I think it's unfair. I don't know Johnny's parents, and so I don't think that it would be fair to judge them in the court of public opinion. What I will say about this situation, and I'll say this to all parents as we are on the cusp of Mother's Day, parenting is a full-time, lifetime job. You can't sleep on the job because, unfortunately, we live in a day and age where there are so many distractions for our children. Whether our children are young or old, there will always be distractions. Our only hope and our prayer should be that we have imparted enough morals and values in our children, that we have lived in a way in which our children could learn from what they heard and they saw from us, and hopefully it was positive, but that we've also charted a course for them to travel. Yes, it is true you can't hold your children's hand all the time. Can't be there 24/7, and you have to at some point allow them to fly on their own, so to speak. So this is why I won't put Johnny's parents into question. I will say that I feel sad for them. I would never personally want to do anything that is going to cause embarrassment, heartache, and pain for my parents because they did so much for me. They put so much out there in order to help me to succeed and to become the woman and the mother that I am and the wife that I am today. Many of you feel that way as well. I also don't want to speculate, but I'm sure many of you feel that same way as well. And so I am forever indebted to my parents. I would never want to cause them harm. I would never want to see them disappointed in anything that I've ever done. We may not always agree, but I certainly don't believe that I've ever disappointed my parents. And I'm grateful for that. But Johnny's situation stems back to 2012. And I'm not saying that there wasn't, I don't want to say hope for him because I think that there was. But in 2012, while as a student at Texas A&M, Johnny was arrested and charged with 3 misdemeanors: disorderly conduct, failure to identify, and the possession of a fictitious driver's license. In July of 2013, he pled guilty for failure to identify, and the other 2 charges were dismissed. Some of you may say, well, no one got hurt. There was no acts of violence there. No one lost their lives. You're right. But this is just the beginning of sweeping Johnny Manziel's issues under the rug. Reports were then swirling in 2013 that his parents revealed in an article that they were concerned about his dealings with the newfound stardom. As you may remember, Johnny Manziel won the Heisman Trophy as a freshman, the first to ever do it. And from there stemmed a long laundry list of accolades, from first team All-American in so many different areas, the multiple SEC player awards. And so this didn't help Johnny Manziel's case. Didn't help Johnny Manziel's case at all. And now we find ourselves in this situation with Johnny Manziel. What I think affected me more today about this entire debacle of Johnny Manziel was what the judge had to say to him today in court. Now, Judge, you had an opportunity that several people probably wish that they had when it came to Johnny Manziel. Friends, family, coaches, former coaches, whatever that looks like. Many people have wanted to have an opportunity to speak to him, and hopefully in speaking to him impart some words of wisdom and some life into his situation. But Judge, here's what you had to say that was very, troubling to me. That number one, you felt the need to reiterate the terms of the restraining order that is in place by Colleen Crowley, the woman who was affected by these domestic violence charges. You felt the need to make sure that he understood that he could not contact her in any way, that he could not see her, that he needed to remain X amount of feet away from her living quarters. Okay. I don't know that needed to be reiterated because there haven't been any reports of him violating that. That's not what today's appearance was about. You also then went on to say that Johnny Manziel could not be in the possession of a gun. Once again, I don't know that there's ever been any reports that Johnny Manziel has been in the possession of a firearm. So once again, Judge, you wasted words today because neither of these two did anything to help him. You then went on to talk about him in terms of getting his life together and being a man. Judge, I think that many people have attempted to have that conversation with Johnny. I'm sure his parents did. I'm sure other family members did. Close confidants, former players, former coaches. Absolutely. You saying these things to him, I don't know had any effect on him because I just don't know that Johnny is taking his life seriously. See, the problem with a Johnny Manziel is that you have been revered as a phenomenal player all of your life up to this point. You have been put on a high pedestal, and people have bowed down to you for whatever reason. And so now that you are falling hard from grace, you're finding the best way to rebound from this is by keeping your name in the media, in the spotlight, because that's what you enjoy. That was evident by your tweet yesterday of saying, just thankful I had a shirt on this time. I don't give a damn what you had on, Johnny Manziel. This is ridiculous. This is utterly ridiculous that at this day and age, in this time in your life, you still can't seem to get right. We just had the 2016 NFL draft where thousands of college hopefuls or NFL hopefuls were there waiting, hoping to hear their name being called. Many of them didn't care what team they went to go play for, just the promise and the possibility of playing a sport that they have played and worked so hard for all of their lives is all that mattered to them. This was the pinnacle of all of their hard work, was just to be able to have an opportunity to play professionally, to help mom out, to help dad out, to make their dreams come true. And here you are having had that same opportunity and you did nothing with it. And you're still doing nothing with it. You seem to be making a mockery of the legal system. Because every time something happens, it gets swept under the rug and you get a slap on your hand. Doesn't change how you think. It hasn't changed your actions. And it hasn't changed that you certainly have not presented yourself as a remorseful individual. Johnny Manziel, I don't know that there's hope for you. I honestly don't. And it's sad to have to say that. But you haven't done anything to be better. Because less than 24 hours ago, you thought it was funny that your mugshots needed to be mocked. And sometimes at some point you have to put away childish ways. And you have to realize that your life will not get better unless you decide wholeheartedly that change is necessary. It's easy for us in the media, friends and family, to say that you need to change. But Johnny Manziel, on this eve of Mother's Day weekend, I really implore you to think about how your actions are affecting your mother. I'm not discounting your dad, but I'm specifically speaking as a mother. Think about how your actions are affecting her. Think about how you could change to be a better man, not only for yourself, but for your mom. Take time out, Johnny Manziel, and put away these antics and get the help that you need. There are certainly people out there who are ready and on standby to assist you in any way that they can. Ryan Leaf was that example. Ryan Leaf said in an interview earlier this week with 105.3 The Fan that he has reached out to Johnny Manziel on multiple occasions. And Ryan Leaf knows directly how Johnny Manziel feels. He's been through those situations where he had a substance abuse problem that lingered for years and eventually assisted, I should say, with his career spiraling out of control. But Ryan Leaf, someone with firsthand knowledge and experience in this situation, has reached out to Johnny, and Johnny hasn't returned the calls. You have to be willing. You have to be willing to put aside all of these challenges that you're having and strive for better. You have to be willing to take that hand. Because this isn't about pride right now. This is about humbling yourself to your experiences, taking the help that you need to become a better man. Because that's the most important thing right now. It's not about getting back into the NFL. It's not about being signed with another team. Because none of that changes the man. None of that changes any of these antics. You've got to be willing to change for you, Johnny. So my hope is that this will be the last time that I have to have a conversation about Johnny Manziel, because it's a very troubling and tiresome situation. That being said, this is the Ladies' Cave. Thank you for joining us today. For all of the mothers out there, have a wonderful, wonderful Mother's Day this weekend. Enjoy your free time and all the spoils that will be given to you. Until next time, I'm your girl, Chi Collins.